everybody. My name is Ann Riley, and I am the host of the new YouTube channel, Conventional Wisdom Sucks. And I created this channel because I think we're in big trouble in this world and in the United States, the country I live in. And I think if we are going to get out of it, we need everybody to work together to make a better world. And the reason why I'm dealing with the conventional wisdom aspect of life is that I think humans have been working off of some really bad assumptions and beliefs for a really long time. It's like a game of dominoes. Have you ever had dominoes? If you build your dominoes like this, that's nice and stable. And those things are really that, if you build them and build them and build them, they're going to stay strong. But if you build your dominoes like this, they're going to fall over pretty quick. And I think that's what I think of conventional wisdom as. They are ideas that made sense maybe long ago, but we still hold to them when they're not really applicable anymore. So I want to go through some of these ideas and talk about how we can think about them and how we can use that knowledge to change our behavior and change the world. And what I'm asking you to do is, if these kinds of ideas that I'm talking about make sense and we can think of alternative ways to do things, I want you to go out and live your life that way. I want you to run for office or give a TED talk or run your business a different way or volunteer a different way or raise your children a different way. So my job, I've written a book called The Human Idea, which talks a lot about this. But I want I just want to go through these things, these conventional wisdom kind of concepts, and discuss them in detail so that we can figure out how to go forward in a better way. So I welcome any kind of comments, any kind of questions. In fact, they're so welcome because it gives us a chance to look at an issue from different perspectives. So subscribe to the channel and throw in a comment, throw in a question, throw in a topic that you want to talk about, and that would be fantastic. The one thing I want to do is, first of all, is define what conventional wisdom is. And then second, I want to talk about kind of how I'm going to approach dealing with the conventional wisdom topics that we bring up. So first of all, conventional wisdom are ideas that are accepted, long accepted, and we think of as true without really thinking about them. They've just been sort of in the ether of our society and our culture. I'll give you some examples. The United States is the greatest country in the world. Well, it may be, it may not be, but that is a question that shouldn't just be taken at face value, or an issue that shouldn't just be taken at face value. Another one similar on the economic vein, or is paying taxes is so bad. We should always try to minimize paying taxes. So again, it may be true, it may be partially true, it may be false. So the question I want to do is look at these things and consider them from a broader set of perspectives and figure out what we really mean by these kinds of statements. So in order to do this, I'm going to deal with human ideas in two flavors. Human ideas can either be true or not true. And every time we look at one of these conventional wisdom topics, we're going to say, is it true or is it not true? And when you look at something that's true, what makes something true? What makes something true is that it can be proven. It can be reliably and repeatably proven. So the only areas in the human world that comport to that definition is math and science. So math is more of a theoretical concept of reality, but you can say 2 + 2 = 4. That is repeatable and reliably proven. 2 + 2 can never be anything but 4. In the science realm, we have the same kind of repeatable facts that we can look at, like 2 hydrogen atoms plus 1 oxygen atom makes a water molecule. That is always true. It is never not true. So when we say something is true, it has to be factually and repeatably proven. Now, some of you say, well, science, it's not real. Well, what happens with science is when somebody puts out a scientific idea, they put it out in the world, and every other scientist is free to bash it down. And if they bash it down, it's not science anymore. It takes just one instance of something not being true for it not to be science. And same with math. So when we get to that point where we say, something is true, it's pretty reliably true. Okay, so that's truth. Now let's go to the other set of human ideas, which is non-truth. So there are 4 types of non-truths. The first one is an opinion. Opinion is just a statement of view. I can say blueberries are my favorite fruit, or they're delicious. Blueberries are delicious. That's even better. And that's not true, or it's not false. It's just a statement of view. And you can take it or leave it. But what's important is you, as the listener of that idea, is to understand it's just an opinion. It's not necessarily true. Now, the second non-truth we have is lies. Lies are provably non-true. That's like saying 2 + 2 = 5. It's not true. It's not ever going to be true. It's a lie. And so when you hear a lie, you have to be able to understand something's a lie. It has to be provably non-true. And sometimes that's hard to do in the world today, where there's a lot of people saying a lot of stuff, and it takes a lot to figure out whether something is true or not true. This is a problem we have today. And in fact, today we have even a bigger problem with disinformation, which is really just a lie, okay? But disinformation is telling a lie and saying it's true, right? And you know it's a lie, but you say it anyway. That's a real problem we have today. And part of the reason I started this channel is so that we can sort through those kinds of things and just determine where people are, how we can determine whether something is disinformation and whether something is a lie. The next kind of non-truth is a theory. A theory is really a true scientific statement or a true scientific thought, but it is not provable completely. I use the theory of evolution as an example. So evolution has been entirely proven from the fossil record that we know of today. It is every time people have dug up fossils or looked at how rocks are striated throughout, like in a canyon, they have proven that evolution exists, and it is a true way to look at the world. But we don't have a full fossil record. We don't have every detail from the beginning of a cell to the creation of human beings 4 billion years later and say, yep, we know absolutely truly that evolution is completely certain, like 2 + 2 = 4. We just don't have it. So the best we can do is say every piece of data supports this, but we don't have a complete set of data. So that's a theory. And the last non-truth is a belief. A belief is something that can be neither proven nor disproven. And religions fall into this category. And that is that, we would say there is a God, but we don't have any evidence that we can prove that there's a God, but we don't have any evidence to disprove that, to prove that there's no God. So we're in this middle ground where it's up to you as an individual to decide what you want to believe about that topic. And that's particularly important because beliefs have been with us from almost as long as humans have been around. So that's the introduction for this channel. Remember those truths and non-truths as we go forward, and we'll talk about them again. But and let's start next time. We're going to start with the conventional wisdom topic that says, the conventional wisdom says there is a God. So we'll take a look at that next time. All right. Thanks for joining me. Remember to subscribe and leave me comments and questions as you see fit. Thank you so much. Bye.